I thought Mr. Brent hated me, but this morning, when he walked past my desk, I heard his thoughts. I want to kiss Leo so badly it hurts. My hand froze on the coffee mug. What was that? A whisper, like someone breathing words directly into my ear. But Brent's lips hadn't moved. He just kept walking toward his office, those deep blue eyes never once glancing my way. My heart hammered against my ribs. I'm Leo, a junior graphic designer at Callaway Enterprises. He's the CEO. There's nothing between us except a professional distance measured in hierarchy and carefully maintained boundaries. He never smiles, never makes small talk, always in a suit, always cold. People say he hasn't dated anyone in 2 years. I used to think maybe he had a problem with people like me. Soft-spoken, clumsy, a little too sensitive for corporate life. But today, what was that voice? Leo, is the file ready? His voice came from directly behind me. I spun around. He was close, so close I could smell his cologne. Cedarwood and something darker, more complex. My breath caught in my throat. Why, yes. Just give me 2 minutes. I managed staring at my screen because looking directly at him felt impossible. He didn't say anything, just stood there. The tension was so thick I could hear my own heartbeat pounding in my ears. Then that voice came again. His voice, but his lips remained still. Why does he always look away from me? Am I really that intimidating? I just want him to look at me. Just one. My fingers stopped typing. This was his thought. I was hearing his actual thoughts. I gathered my courage and looked up at him. His jaw was tight, his face expressionless. But his eyes, there was something else there. Something desperate, something vulnerable hidden beneath the ice. The file, he said again, sharper this time. I quickly hit print. The silence between us felt awkward, heavy, but he didn't move. He just stood there like a sentinel until the printer finished its job. When I handed him the papers, our fingers brushed, just for a second. But in that single second, it felt like electricity had shot through my entire body. He took the file, held my gaze for one long moment, then turned and walked away. But as he left, I heard it again. If I tell him, he'll run away. Won't he? I can't risk that. My hands were shaking. What was happening to me? Was I losing my mind? Or had I somehow developed this strange ability to hear his inner voice? Throughout the rest of the day, I tried to focus on my work. But every time he passed my floor, I heard his thoughts. Every single one. His smile is so soft. Does he ever notice that I always make time for him? I wonder what would happen if I just told him directly. I felt overwhelmed. My boss, the man everyone thinks is carved from ice, was torn apart inside. And I had no idea what to do with this truth. That evening when I left the office, I was alone in the elevator. The doors were about to close when a hand shot between them. Brent stepped inside. We were alone. The lighting was dim. His cologne surrounded me again, filling the small space. I looked at the side panel. Safe territory. But his voice, his real voice, broke the silence. Leo. I turned in shock. He'd never said my name that softly before. Yes? My voice was trembling. He took a step closer. The elevator suddenly felt impossibly small. Tomorrow you have your evaluation. I'll be conducting it personally. It was a normal statement, but the way he said it, low, controlled, yet somehow desperate, made it feel like something more. And then his thought echoed through my mind again. Tomorrow I'll tell him everything. I can't hold this in anymore. The elevator stopped. The doors opened. He stepped out first. I watched his back as he walked away. Shoulders tense, steps quick, and I knew tomorrow everything was going to change. The next morning came too quickly. I barely slept. His words, tomorrow you have your evaluation. I'll be conducting it personally, kept replaying in my mind like a broken record. When I arrived at the office, my entire body felt tense. My colleagues noticed immediately. Bro, are you okay? You look like you've seen a ghost, my friend Jared said, sipping his coffee. I forced a smile, just stressed about the evaluation. Jared raised an eyebrow. With Brent? Good luck, dude. That guy is colder than stone. If only he knew what Brent had been thinking about me yesterday. Maybe he wouldn't say that. At 10 o'clock, I received an email notification. The subject line was simple. Conference Room B, 11 a.m. sharp. Sender B. Calloway. My hands started shaking again. Before 11 I stood outside the conference room. Through the glass doors I could see him, black suit tie perfectly aligned, papers neatly arranged on the table. He was reading through documents, but his focus seemed elsewhere, as if he was preparing himself for something beyond a simple performance review. I knocked on the door. The sound traveled through the glass. "Come in," his voice called. Formal, sharp. The moment I entered and closed the door behind me, the atmosphere shifted. The room was soundproof, just the two of us, cut off from the outside world. "Sit down," he said without looking up. I sat. My throat felt dry. I folded my hands in my lap to hide their trembling. He opened the file and pulled out my performance sheet. He began reading through the notes slowly, his attention on every line. "Your design quality is solid. You consistently meet deadlines. Team feedback is positive." That was good, but there was no warmth in his tone. Then he set down his pen and looked at me directly for the first time. Those blue eyes pierced right through me. My heartbeat stopped for a second. "But there's one concern," he said, his voice dropping lower. I froze. What concern?" He leaned forward slightly. His presence was intense, overwhelming. "You avoid me." Alarm bells went off in my head. This wasn't an evaluation. This was something else entirely. I don't avoid Leo." He said my name again, the same way he had in the elevator. Soft, dangerous, personal. My lips sealed shut. He pushed his chair back and stood up. He approached me slowly. 2 steps, 3 steps. With each step my breathing accelerated. He stopped right in front of me. I had to look up at him, my heart threatening to burst from my chest. "Whenever you're near me, you look away. When I come to your desk, you start typing nervously. When I say your name, your eyes drop to the floor." His voice was low, controlled, but there was raw emotion beneath it that was breaking me apart. "Why?" he asked. And this question wasn't just professional, it was personal, filled with pain. I couldn't speak. What could I say? That his presence overwhelmed me. That I couldn't look into his eyes because they made me feel things I didn't understand. That since yesterday, I'd been hearing his thoughts. "Leo," he said it again, more desperate this time. And then, that voice came again. But his lips didn't move. "Why is this so hard? I just want him to look at me. Just once." I found my courage. I told myself now or never. I lifted my head. I looked straight at him. Direct. Unflinching. His eyes widened, as if he hadn't expected this. As if some miracle had just occurred. Our eyes met. The silence was so profound that even the air conditioning sounded loud. Something changed in his expression. His jaw loosened. His breathing became slightly faster. And then, he's looking at me. God, he's finally looking at me. My breath tangled in my chest. This was all so real. So raw. He took another step closer. Close enough that I could feel the heat radiating from his body. His cologne was stronger now, intoxicating. "Do you know," he said slowly, as if choosing each word with extreme care, "how hard it is for me to stay professional around you?" My eyes went wide. He raised his hand and stopped just beside my cheek. He didn't touch me, just hovered there. There was hesitation in the gesture. Control. Restraint. "I don't want to hurt you. I don't want to make you uncomfortable. But this has become incredibly difficult." His eyes dropped to my lips. Just for a second. Then back to my eyes. "Brent," I whispered. And this was the first time I'd used his first name. "Leo," he said my name. So softly it felt like a prayer. Words formed on my lips, but nothing came out. He closed his eyes. I want to kiss him so badly. Right now. Right here. My entire body went into shock. Because that thought felt more real now. I could actually feel it. His desperation. His need. He opened his eyes. One last desperate look. His jaw tightened as if he was fighting himself. And then, he stepped back. "Evaluation complete," he said in a formal tone. As if nothing had happened. As if this conversation had been a normal meeting. "Your performance is excellent. Your increment has been approved." He walked back to the table and started gathering his files, deliberately not looking at me. But his thought, it was still running. "I can't do this. If I kiss him now, he'll hate me. I have to control myself. I have to. I stood up from the chair. My legs felt like jelly. I could barely stand. Thank you, I said, my voice shaky. He nodded without looking at me. I walked toward the door, each step feeling heavy. But just as I was about to grab the handle, Leo, I stopped, didn't turn around, just listened, waiting. If you ever feel like I'm being too intense, please tell me. I don't want to make you uncomfortable. Those words were so soft, so genuine, so vulnerable. I turned my head to look at him. He was still facing away from the door, shoulders tense. You don't make me uncomfortable, I said, and it was the truth. He didn't respond, but his shoulders relaxed slightly, as if a heavy weight had been lifted. I left the room, closed the door, and in the hallway I leaned against the wall for support. My breathing was uneven. What was all that? Was it an evaluation or a confession? And if I could hear his thoughts, could he ever hear mine? That thought terrified me, because something was beginning to happen in my heart too, something I couldn't control, something that maybe I actually wanted. 2 days later, the company's annual party arrived. I didn't really want to go. Social events have never been my comfort zone. But Jared pressured me, and eventually I gave in. The party was held in the company's largest hall. Dim lights, soft music, and the sounds of fake laughter and champagne glasses clinking among the crowd. I stood in a corner, holding a mocktail, trying my best to blend into the background. In my black pants and white shirt, I looked the plainest while everyone else was dressed up. Jared approached me, slightly tipsy. Dude, why so lifeless? Have some fun. I am having fun. I lied. Liar. You're the same boring Leo who always hides in corners, he teased and grabbed my arm. Come on, let's hit the dance floor. No man, I'm fine here, but he forcefully dragged me into the crowd. The music was loud. Lights were flashing. I felt uncomfortable but started moving awkwardly with Jared, trying not to look like a complete fool. Then my gaze drifted across the room. Brent Calloway, in a black suit, but his tie was loose, a glass of wine in his hand. He stood near the balcony, alone, observing everyone as if he belonged to a different world. His eyes suddenly locked onto mine. My hand froze mid-movement. My heartbeat quickened. He brought the glass to his lips and took a sip, slowly, deliberately. His gaze didn't leave me. Intense. Possessive. Jared shook my shoulder. Hey, where'd you go? Nothing, I said, redirecting my attention back to the dance floor. But in my mind, his voice echoed. Why is that guy so close to him? I stopped in shock. His thought? He was jealous? Actually jealous? Jared moved closer to me and said, Hey man, a girl is coming your way. Try to impress her. I turned to look. Indeed, a female colleague was smiling and walking toward me, drink in hand. Hey Leo, your designs are amazing. I love your work, she said in a bubbly tone, clearly in party mode. Oh, thank you, I replied politely, giving an uncomfortable smile. But then, I glanced toward where Brent had been standing. His jaw had tightened. He set his glass down hard on the counter, the sound audible even over the music, and he walked away, disappearing into the crowd. His thought came so loudly it made my head spin. I can't watch this. I can't stand here and see someone else smile at him like that. Something twisted in my chest. Brent was jealous. Actually genuinely jealous. Jared and the girl were chatting, but my focus had shifted entirely to where Brent had disappeared. Sorry, I'll be right back. I excused myself and left the crowd, leaving their confused voices behind. I headed toward the hallway. This floor was quiet, the party noise muffled. I wondered where he'd gone. Then I noticed light near the restroom area. I pushed the door open. Empty. But the balcony door was slightly ajar. Cool air was flowing in from outside. I stepped outside. The night air was cold and city lights sparkled below. Brent was standing there by the railing, his back to me. Brent? I said softly. He spun around abruptly. His eyes were wide as if he hadn't expected me to follow. As if I was the last person he wanted to see here, or maybe exactly the person he'd hoped would come. Leo. His voice was slow, controlled. Are you all right? I asked, taking hesitant steps closer. He clenched his jaw. Yes. Why wouldn't I be? But his thought told me the truth. He followed me. Why did he follow me? Does he care? I stopped near the railing. There was still some space between us, safe distance. You're not at the party, I observed. Parties aren't for me, he gave a simple answer. His gaze on the city lights. Then why did you come? He went quiet. The silence stretched. Then slowly his eyes turned toward me, and this time there was something different in them. Something raw. Something real. Something unguarded. Because I wanted to see you. My lips parted but no sound came out. This was a confession. He ran his hand through his hair, a frustrated gesture. This is wrong. I know, I'm your boss. I shouldn't make you feel this way. But, Brent. I interrupted him. He stopped, waiting. I took a deep breath, gathered my courage, and spoke. I don't avoid you because you're intimidating either. His eyes narrowed, confused. I avoid you because... I paused, searching for the right words. Because when you're near me, I start thinking things I shouldn't. His breathing changed. Visible. Heavy. What do you think? He asked slowly, dangerously as if afraid of the answer. I looked into his eyes. Direct. No escape. No hiding. That you're not as cold as everyone thinks you are. He went completely still for 1 second. Frozen in place. Then he took one step closer. And another. Deliberate. Controlled. Now we were very close. Close enough that I could smell the faint scent of wine mixed with his cologne. Cedarwood and something darker. Something uniquely him. Leo, he whispered my name. So softly my whole body reacted to it. If I kissed you right now, what would you do? My heartbeat became explosive. This was real. This was actually happening. Not a dream. Not my imagination. I don't know, I said honestly. My voice barely above a whisper. He smiled for the first time. A real one. Sad. Vulnerable. I'm being honest with you, Leo. I'm extremely attracted to you, and it's driving me crazy. Day and night. His confession was so direct I forgot how to breathe. He raised his hand and this time he actually touched my cheek. Soft, gentle, warm. If this feels wrong to you, if this makes you uncomfortable, then please stop me. Right now. I said nothing. Because the truth was, I wanted this too. Maybe from the very first day. He moved even closer. His forehead was almost touching mine. I could hear his breathing. Please, he whispered. Stop me. But I didn't stop him. And he kissed me. Soft. Slow. So gently as if I were fragile glass that might shatter if held too tightly. My hands automatically grabbed onto his shirt collar. One of his hands was on my waist. Tight, possessive. Claim. We were both breathless when he pulled back. Our foreheads still touching. His eyes searched mine, looking for regret, for rejection. Tell me you didn't hate that, he said, his voice rough, desperate. I didn't, I whispered. I really didn't. His smile returned, but this time it carried pure relief. But then, the sound of a door opening. Sharp. Sudden. We jerked apart instantly, creating distance between us. Jared stumbled in, slightly drunk. Leo? You're here? Oh. Boss? Brent immediately switched to professional mode, straightening his posture. I called Leo here to discuss some files. Jared looked confused, clearly not buying the excuse, but he nodded. Okay. I'll catch up with you later. He left but not without giving one last curious look. Brent and I were alone again. But the moment was broken. The magic was gone. I should go, I said, suddenly aware of everything that had just happened. He nodded. But as I turned to leave he caught my wrist, gentle but firm. Tomorrow, he said. We need to talk tomorrow. Please. Don't run from this. I looked into his desperate eyes and nodded. Promise? He asked. Promise, I whispered. Then I left. But my heart, it wasn't the same anymore. Something had permanently changed. And I didn't know if that was good or dangerous. The next morning at work felt different. Everything seemed normal on the surface, but there was a new weight in the air, at least for me. I kept replaying last night over and over. The kiss. His confession. The way he'd looked at me like I was the only person in the world who mattered. I arrived at my desk early, hoping to lose myself in work before facing him again. But my phone buzzed with a message. My office. Noon. We need to finish what we started. Sender, Brent. My stomach flipped. This was it. No more avoiding. No more pretending. The morning dragged on painfully slow. Jared kept giving me suspicious looks but didn't ask questions. Probably still processing what he'd witnessed last night. At exactly noon, I stood outside Brent's office. The door was slightly open. I could see him inside, standing by the window, hands in his pockets, looking out at the city below. I knocked lightly. "Come in and close the door," he said without turning around. I entered and shut the door behind me, hearing the quiet click of the lock. He finally turned to face me. His expression was serious, but his eyes held something softer. Vulnerability mixed with determination. "Last night wasn't a mistake," he said immediately, as if he'd been rehearsing this. "I need you to know that. I meant everything." I swallowed hard. "I know, but I also know this is complicated. I'm your boss. There are power dynamics, company policies. People will talk." He paused, searching my face. "So I need to know, do you want this? Really want this? Because if you have any doubt, any hesitation, tell me now. I'll step back. I'll keep everything professional. I won't push." His words hung in the air. This was my choice. My decision. No pressure. No manipulation. Just honest truth. I took a step closer to him. Then another. Until we were standing face to face. "I want this," I said clearly. "I want you. I'm scared, and I don't know how we'll navigate everything. But I'm not running away." Something in his expression cracked open. Pure relief, mixed with overwhelming emotion. "Thank you," he breathed. "Thank you for being brave enough to say that." He reached for me then, pulling me into an embrace that felt different from last night. This wasn't rushed or stolen. This was deliberate, chosen, real. "We'll figure it out together," he murmured against my hair. "I promise I'll protect you from any fallout. I'll talk to HR. I'll make sure everything is done properly. You won't suffer because of this." I pulled back to look at him. "What about you? Your reputation? Your position?" He smiled, a genuine warm smile I'd never seen before. "You're worth more than any of that." And in that moment, standing in his office with sunlight streaming through the windows, I realized something profound. This man who everyone thought was made of ice was actually the warmest person I'd ever known. He just needed someone willing to look past the surface. "So what happens now?" I asked. "Now," he said, tucking a strand of hair behind my ear. "We take this one day at a time. We keep it professional at work. But outside these walls," his thumb traced my jawline, "outside these walls, you're mine. If you'll have me, I'll have you," I whispered. He kissed me again, slower this time, deeper, like he was memorizing the taste of this moment. When we finally broke apart, both of us were smiling. "I should get back to work," I said reluctantly. "Unfortunately, yes. Can't have people getting suspicious on day one of whatever this is." "A relationship?" I suggested. His smile widened. "Yes, a relationship." I liked the sound of that. As I reached for the door handle, he called my name one more time. "Leo." I turned back. "Thank you for hearing me." Even when I couldn't speak, I understood what he meant. Those thoughts I'd heard, they were his truth when he couldn't find the courage to say the words out loud. "Always," I promised. "I'll always hear you." When I left his office and returned to my desk, Jared was waiting with raised eyebrows and a knowing smirk. "So, want to tell me what's really going on with you and the boss?" I couldn't help but smile. "Maybe someday, but not today." He laughed. "Fair enough. Just be careful, okay? Office romances are tricky." "I know," I said, "but some things are worth the risk." And as I glanced back toward Brent's office, seeing him through the glass, already back to work but with a small smile still playing on his lips, I knew I meant every word. This was just the beginning. There would be challenges ahead. Gossip. Complications. Maybe even serious obstacles. But for the first time in my life, I felt like I was exactly where I was supposed to be. With someone who saw me. Really saw me. And that was worth fighting for. The next morning I arrived at the office expecting something, maybe a text message, maybe a glance across the room, maybe some small sign that last night had been real. And not just a dream I'd invented in my desperate imagination. But there was nothing. Brent was locked in his office all day. Back-to-back meetings. Every time he walked past my floor, his eyes stayed straight ahead. He didn't even acknowledge my existence. As if I were invisible. As if last night had never happened at all. My chest tightened. Confusion mixed with hurt mixed with a growing anger I couldn't quite name. Had he regretted it? Was he uncomfortable now? Had that entire moment been nothing more than a temporary lapse in judgment for him? Jared appeared at my desk during lunch break, taking a bite of his sandwich. Bro, you're acting weird again. Did Calloway say something yesterday? No, I answered shortly, keeping my focus on the laptop screen. Then what? Something clearly happened. You're literally avoiding everyone. Nothing happened, I insisted, my tone sharper than I intended. But that was a lie. Something had happened. Something significant. And now he was ignoring me like none of it mattered. Around noon, an email arrived. Subject line, design revisions, urgent. Sender B. Calloway. My heart sank. I opened it. Just 2 lines, design revisions attached. Please resubmit by 5 p.m. today. No delays. The tone was sharp, professional, cold. Exactly like it had been before. As if nothing personal had ever passed between us. My throat constricted. What was this? Punishment? Creating distance? I downloaded the attached file and reviewed the changes. They were all minor, but unnecessarily detailed. As if he'd deliberately given me extra work to keep me occupied. Or maybe, to keep us from having to talk. I was confused. Hurt. But I had work to do. By 4:45 p.m. I'd completed the revisions and emailed them back, using an overly professional tone that matched his. His reply came instantly. Received. Will review tonight. That's it, just 2 words. No thank you. No acknowledgement of the effort. Something inside me broke. I stayed late at the office. Everyone else had left. The floor was empty except for the cleaning staff quietly working. That's when I noticed the light still on in his office. Gathering my courage, I stood and walked toward his door, each step feeling heavier than the last. The door was slightly ajar. I peered inside. He was sitting at his desk, laptop open, glasses on, visible stress lines creasing his forehead. I knocked softly. He looked up, and when his eyes met mine, something flickered. Pain. Longing. But he immediately composed himself, building that wall back up. Leo, do you need something? Formal. Distant. Cold. I wanted to confirm the design file was acceptable. I said, stepping inside and closing the door behind me. Yes. It's fine, he replied shortly, then returned his focus to the screen, deliberately avoiding eye contact. My confidence crashed. But I wasn't ready to leave. Not now, Brent. He froze. Slowly his eyes returned to mine, guarded and careful. What's going on? I asked directly. No games. Nothing, he said, standing up, his posture defensive. I have a lot of work. You should go home. No. I held my ground, moving away from the door toward his desk. Last night. After last night. Last night was a mistake, he said sharply, his jaw clenching. My chest burned. A mistake? That kiss? That moment? All of it was a mistake? He clenched his jaw tighter and looked away from me, staring out the window. I wasn't professional. It shouldn't have happened. My hand curled into a fist. Hurt. Anger. Betrayal. So that's it? You're just going to ignore me now? Pretend nothing happened? I'm not ignoring you. You are. My voice rose, frustration finally bursting through. All day you didn't look at me once. Your email was robotic. And now you're calling it a mistake? Was I the mistake? He covered his face with one hand, frustrated, exhausted, torn. Leo, you don't understand. Then make me understand. I nearly shouted. If you regret it, just say so. If you only did something in the moment that you didn't mean. I'm getting too attached to you, he said suddenly, his voice cracking. I stopped, shocked. He slowly turned to face me, and for the first time I saw his eyes, red-rimmed, tired, vulnerable. And that terrifies me, he continued, his voice dropping low. Because I'm your boss. Because there are power dynamics. Because if you said yes to me, how do I know it's really what you want? How do I know you won't feel pressured? His eyes met mine, desperate, scared. I didn't sleep last night. I kept thinking about whether I made you uncomfortable, whether I forced you into something, whether I took away your choice. My breathing became heavy. This was the reason. He was trying to protect me from himself. So I thought distance would be better, he whispered. If I stay away, then you're free. Safe. I was speechless. Hurt. But now I understood. Brent. I took one step closer. Then another. He went quiet, waiting. You didn't force me, I said clearly, my voice firm. I made my own choice. I didn't stop you. I wanted it. His breathing became heavier. A visible struggle played across his face. And if you think I was just under pressure, you're wrong. Completely wrong. He closed his eyes, as if he couldn't believe my words, as if accepting this truth was painful. Leo, I want to keep you safe. I don't want to hurt you. Then don't ignore me, I said softly, now standing right in front of him. That hurts more. Distance? That's not the solution. His hand started to reach toward me but stopped midway, trembling, as if he were fighting himself. I don't know how to handle all of this, he admitted, his voice breaking. Feelings. Attachment. This is all new to me. I've never felt like this before. My heart ached. This cold, distant boss. He was actually incredibly vulnerable, incredibly lost. I took his hand softly, gently. He looked at me with shock, wide-eyed. We can handle this together, I said, but only if you don't push me away, only if you trust me. His eyes became moist. He gripped my hand tightly, a desperate hold as if I were drowning and he was my last lifeline. I'm sorry, he whispered, his voice raw. I was scared. I'm still scared. I am too, I admitted. But I'm not letting you go. Not like this. He suddenly pulled me into a hug, tight, warm, real, desperate. I was shocked for a second. Then I wrapped my arms around him in return. We stayed like that for a while. Silence. Heartbeats. Relief. Healing. When he pulled back, he held my face with both hands, his thumbs wiping away invisible tears. If this is a relationship, I'll take it seriously, he said, his voice steady now. I'll respect you. I'll honor your boundaries. I'll never— Brent, I said with a smile. Just be with me. That's all I want. A small smile appeared on his lips. Real, genuine, beautiful. And then he kissed me again. This time more gentle, more real, more full of promise. When we separated, his forehead rested against mine. Are you really okay with all of this? He asked, still doubting. Yes, I said. Absolutely, completely. He let out a breath of relief, finally releasing the fear. But we both knew this was only the beginning. Keeping a secret relationship in the office wasn't going to be easy, but at least now, we were together. Dude, did you hear? Calloway's apparently dating someone in secret. I overheard Jared's comment Monday morning in the break room. I was making coffee, my back turned, but my hand froze mid-stir, the spoon hovering in the air. Where'd you hear that? Another colleague asked, sounding interested. Leaked from HR department. Someone supposedly saw him Friday night at a restaurant having dinner with someone. Very cozy from what I heard. My chest tightened with a hint of panic, but I kept my composure. I picked up my coffee cup and casually walked out of the break room, acting completely normal. The truth was, we actually had gone out for dinner Friday night. A private restaurant that Brent had personally reserved. Corner booth, dim lighting, soft music playing in the background. Brent had held my hand under the table the entire time, his thumb tracing circles on my palm. But someone had seen us? I returned to my desk and checked my phone. There was a message from Brent, time-stamped just 10 minutes earlier. Don't react to anything today. Stay calm. I'll handle it. Trust me. That confirmed it. He'd heard the rumors too. Probably before I did. The entire day felt awkward. People were whispering. Glances kept sliding in my direction. I tried to focus on my work but couldn't concentrate, anxiety building with each passing hour. Around noon, Brent sent a company-wide email. The subject line was simple. Workplace conduct reminder. The email body was professional. Reminder: personal lives of employees including senior management are private. Gossip and rumors will not be tolerated and may lead to disciplinary action. Please focus on your work and maintain professional conduct. It was a direct message, but it only made the rumors spread faster. People were now certain something was going on. Something's definitely happening, my team lead said, giving me a side-eye. Otherwise, why would he send such an aggressive email? I stayed silent. What could I say? As people started leaving for the evening, I texted Brent, "Can we talk? Please." His reply came instantly. "My office. 7 p.m. Wait for everyone to leave." I was nervous. Would everything become public now? Would we both face problems? Job loss? Transfer? At exactly 7 p.m., the floor was almost empty. I checked to make sure no one was around before entering his office. I went inside. The door was locked. The blinds were down. Private space. Brent was sitting on the edge of his desk, tie loosened, sleeves rolled up, hair slightly disheveled. Stressed. "Sit down," he said, his voice tired. I sat on the sofa. The silence felt heavy, suffocating. Are we in trouble?" I finally asked, my voice small. He took a deep breath, fingers rubbing his temples. "Technically no, because I already informed HR that I'm involved with you." My jaw dropped. "When?" "Yesterday morning. When I found out rumors were starting to circulate, I immediately scheduled a meeting with the HR head." He looked at me, serious expression, protective stance. "I told them that you and I are consensually involved, that there's no power misuse, that you've never felt uncomfortable. I made everything completely clear." My throat tightened. He was already taking steps to protect me, without even telling me first. "What did HR say?" "They said as long as you don't file a complaint and there's no proof of harassment, they won't interfere. Company policy technically allows relationships as long as professional boundaries are maintained." My chest felt a bit lighter. "But," he paused, hesitant, "they suggested that we either have one of us transfer to a different team or publicly declare the relationship properly." My hands went cold. This was serious. "What does that mean?" He stood up and sat down next to me, our knees almost touching. His eyes locked onto mine. "It means either I transfer you to another team where I'm not directly your boss, or we tell everyone officially. No more hiding." My chest tightened. Both options were scary. Both carried risks. "What do you think?" he asked, his voice soft. "This is your decision. Whatever you choose, I'll support you." I stayed quiet, trying to think it through. If I transferred, we'd both have more freedom. No direct boss-employee dynamic. But I was attached to my current team, attached to my work, attached to my projects. If we went public, people would judge. Gossip. Say I used the relationship to get promotions or favors. Say I was taking shortcuts. Brent took my hand, bringing me back to the present. "Listen, I want you to do whatever makes you comfortable. I'm ready for either option. My job, my position, all of that is secondary. Your happiness comes first." I looked into his eyes. Genuine, caring, selfless. "But if you want, I'll recommend the transfer. So you never feel like you're under any pressure. So your career stays independent." Something melted inside me. He was prioritizing my growth, not his own comfort. I don't want to transfer," I finally said, my voice steady. He looked surprised. "Are you sure?" "Yes. 'Cause this team is right for my growth. 'Cause I love this work. 'Cause I earned this position." I paused. "And because I don't want to leave my place just because of what other people might say. I don't want to run away." A small proud smile appeared on his lips. Admiration shone in his eyes. "So then, public." I nodded. "Slow? Sure. Yes. But professional. Respectful. No drama. Clean." He touched my cheek, tender and gentle. "Exactly. However you want it. We'll do this right." The next day, Tuesday morning, Brent called an emergency team meeting. 9 a.m. sharp. Everyone looked confused. Emergency meetings never happened unless something serious was going on. I was there too, nervous, sweaty palms, trying to appear normal. Jared sat next to me and gave me a confused look, silently asking what was happening. I shrugged. Brent stood in front of everyone and spoke, his voice clear and firm. "I want to address something directly. There have been rumors circulating about my personal life. So I'm clearing it up now to maintain transparency. Yes, I'm in a relationship with someone in this company. Everyone looked shocked. Whispers immediately started, heads turning, eyes searching. And it's consensual, respectful, and doesn't affect any professional decisions or evaluations. HR is fully aware and has approved this disclosure. Then he looked at me. Brief, professional. But his eyes said everything. Leo and I are together. We've been together for some time now and we wanted to be transparent with the team. Complete silence filled the room for a solid 5 seconds. I tried to control my breathing, hands gripping the edge of my chair. Jared's jaw literally dropped to the floor, his eyes wide as if he'd just seen an alien. The team lead awkwardly clapped, trying to ease the tension. Congratulations? That's good. Some people gave polite smiles. Some looked judgmental. Some maintained shocked expressions. But no one said anything directly. Professional silence prevailed. Brent wrapped up the meeting, going back to the normal agenda as if he hadn't just made a major announcement. Now let's discuss this week's project deadlines. The meeting ended. Everyone filed out, chattering, shocked, confused, gossip. I was the last to leave, my legs feeling slightly weak. In the hallway, Jared cornered me, grabbing my arm. Bro, what? I know. Since when? And you didn't tell me? It's recent. And it was complicated. He shook his head, disbelief, shock, but then slowly smiled. Honestly, I'm happy for you, man. Calloway's intense, but he's a good guy. Respectable. Just be careful. Okay? Office relationships are tricky. I nodded, grateful for his support. Thanks, Jared. The rest of the day was awkward. People looked at me differently. Some were respectful, offering congratulations. Some were judgmental, side glances, whispers. Some were curious, trying to ask questions. But I kept my head down and focused on my work. Professional. Proving that this relationship wouldn't affect my performance. That evening, after everyone had left, Brent texted me. Balcony. Now. Please. I went. He was standing there, moonlight illuminating him, tie loosened, tired but relieved smile on his face. You did well, he said, pulling me into a hug. So did you, I replied, wrapping my arms around him. He held my hand privately, intimately. Now, everyone knows, so no more hiding. No more sneaking around. Right, I said, smiling. Now we're properly together. Openly. He pulled me closer, resting his chin on top of my head. Thank you, he whispered. For choosing this. For choosing us. For being brave. Always, I said, my voice muffled against his chest. And that night, for the first time, I felt like everything would be okay. We'd handle it. Together. The next few weeks required adjustment. But gradually things became normal. Everyone at the office knew now. The initial gossip slowed down. Some people still cast judgmental looks, but most had accepted it. Brent and I remained strictly professional during office hours. Never getting personal publicly. Formal in meetings. Professional in emails. But when everyone left, we were together. One Friday evening, as I was packing my bag and preparing to leave for the weekend, Brent messaged me. Dinner tonight? Real date. Public restaurant. No hiding. Just us. My heart warmed. A smile automatically spreading across my face. I replied, yes. Absolutely yes. We went to a rooftop restaurant famous in the city. City lights twinkling below, cool breeze flowing. Stars faintly visible overhead. Brent was in casual clothes. The first time I'd seen him outside of a suit. Simple black shirt. Dark jeans. Relaxed. This feels strange, he said, smiling slightly. Hands in his pockets. What does being open, public, with you without hiding? I took his hand on top of the table publicly, boldly. Does it feel good? He gripped my hand back tightly, fingers intertwining. Very. For the first time, I feel free. We ordered food, kept talking, light, funny, normal. For the first time we were both stress-free. No fear, no hiding, just But during dessert, Brent became serious, his expression shifting. Leo, I want to ask you something. My heart started beating a bit faster. Yes? Do you think about the future? About us? Long term? I went quiet. This was a heavy question. Important. He quickly added, slightly panicked. I mean, no pressure. I wanted to know if you take this seriously. Or if it's just, I do, I cut him off. Direct. No hesitation. His eyes widened. Surprise. I take it seriously, I repeated, squeezing his hand. I want this to be real. Long term. Stable. Something that lasts. His breathing changed. Relief. Happiness. Overwhelming emotion. Me too, he said, his voice thick with feeling. I want us to stay properly together. Publicly. Proudly. Build something real. Butterflies filled my stomach, warmth spreading through me. But, he continued, his expression becoming concerned, I know you must feel judged sometimes. People probably think you took shortcuts, that promotions or opportunities came to you because of the relationship. Let them think that, I said firmly. I know my worth. I know my work. I depend on my results. And, I don't base my happiness on other people's opinions. Brent gave a proud smile, his eyes shining. Exactly what I wanted to hear. Exactly. He raised his wine glass. To us. To being brave. To building something beautiful. I raised my glass, grinning. To us. We clinked glasses, and in that moment, everything felt right. Perfect. But life is never that simple. Challenges always come. The following Monday when I arrived at the office, the atmosphere felt weird again. People would stop talking when they saw me. Whispers. Side glances. More intense than before. I was confused. What now? Jared came over to me. Worried expression, hesitant. Leo, have you checked the company forum? No, I haven't logged in yet. Why? What happened? He held his phone out to me, showing me the screen. On the screen was an anonymous company forum post. Posted late Sunday night. Is it fair that Leo got promoted last quarter just because he's dating the CEO? His work is average at best. This is clear favoritism. Discuss. My stomach twisted. I felt nauseous. This is nonsense, I said, my voice shaking slightly. I earned that promotion. The relationship didn't even exist back then. I know, bro, Jared said softly. But people won't see it that way. They'll see what they want to see. I don't care, I said in a sharp tone. But inside, it hurt. I went to my desk and opened my laptop. My email inbox was full, mostly normal work emails. But one email stood out, received early that morning. Subject: meeting request, HR compliance review. My heart sank. HR? Compliance review? I immediately messaged Brent. Did you see the forum post? His reply came instantly. Yes. I'm handling it. Don't engage. Don't respond. Meet me at lunch. Stay strong. But I was worried. Anxious. Hurt. At 11 a.m. I was summoned to the HR office. Formal request. I was nervous, my legs slightly shaking. Would I face some kind of action now? Was this relationship officially becoming a problem? The HR head, Miss Rivera, was a serious middle-aged woman with sharp eyes. She sat across the table from me, a thick file in front of her, reading glasses on. Leo, please sit. I sat down. Stiff. Uncomfortable. You've seen this forum post? She asked directly. Yes, I have. What do you think? Honest opinion. I took a deep breath, gathering courage. I think it's unfair and baseless. I earned my promotion. Purely on performance. The relationship had nothing to do with it because the relationship started after that. She nodded, writing notes. I agree. Your records are clean. Your performance has been consistently strong for the past 2 years. And Mr. Calloway followed proper evaluation procedures before approving your promotion. Multiple reviewers were involved. My chest felt a bit lighter. Relief. However, she continued, looking up seriously, according to company policy, transparency and documentation are necessary in cases like this. So I'm officially recording that your promotion was merit-based. The timeline is clearly documented and the relationship disclosure followed proper procedures. Completely understood, I confirmed. She closed the file, removing her glasses. You can go, and Leo, don't pay attention to what people say. Your work will speak for itself. Results matter, not gossip. I breathed a sigh of relief, standing up. Thank you, Miss Rivera. I really appreciate this. I left feeling slightly better. Officially cleared. But by evening, the rumor mill had started up again. The gossip was unstoppable. One colleague even confronted me directly in the break room, with others listening. Honestly, Leo, don't you think this is all a bit convenient? Relationship with the CEO, then a sudden promotion. My patience was wearing thin. Anger rising. The promotion came first, I said firmly, my voice steady but cold. Check the timeline. The records are public, and my work speaks for itself. If you have a problem, take it up with HR, not with me. He awkwardly nodded and walked away, embarrassed. I was emotionally exhausted, drained. That evening, when the office had emptied, I went to Brent's office, needing support, needing him. He was already there waiting for me. As if he knew I'd come. Come in, he said softly, standing up immediately. I entered and closed the door. Locked it. He hugged me without words, tight, warm, protective. I'm sorry. For what? I said, muffled against his chest. That you have to face all of this. It's unfair. I held onto his shirt, grounding myself. It's not your fault. But, Brent. I pulled back to face him, hands on his chest. I'm strong. I can handle this. We can handle this. He held my face, thumbs brushing my cheeks. I know. But, you shouldn't have to deal with this. I wish I could protect you from it. We'll face it together. I said firmly. Together, that's what relationships are. Facing things together. His eyes became moist. He kissed me gentle, reassuring, full of promise. I'll never leave you alone. He promised, forehead against mine. And I won't leave you. I whispered back. Everything had settled. The rumors had completely died down. My work was consistently excellent. New projects, successful campaigns, client appreciation. People eventually accepted the situation. Some even became genuinely supportive. Brent and I now openly went to lunch together. We'd chat casually after meetings in the conference room. Professional, but not distant. Balanced. One Saturday, Brent invited me to his home. First time officially, no office, purely personal. His apartment was modern, high-rise building, minimalist design, floor-to-ceiling windows with a city view, clean, sophisticated. Exactly what I'd expected. Welcome to my space, he said, smiling warmly. Hand on my back. This is really nice, I said, looking around, impressed. He took my hand and led me to the living room. We sat on the couch, comfortable silence between us. I want to show you something, he said, excited but nervous. He opened his laptop and pulled up a detailed presentation. This is a plan. A new project. Company expansion into creative digital marketing. Big budget. High visibility. I looked at the screen curiously. The details were impressive, ambitious, innovative, and he continued, turning to me, I want you to lead this project. Head designer and creative director. My jaw dropped. Me? Lead? Creative director? Yes. You're ready. Your work, your vision, your creativity, it's all perfect. I'm promoting you, officially. Excitement and nervousness both surged through me. Emotions overwhelming, but people will say it's favoritism again. Leo. He gripped my hand tightly. Eyes intense. You deserve this. The board approved it. HR cleared it. Your portfolio speaks for itself. And I'm not going to waste your talent just because of what people might say. Never. My eyes filled with tears. This trust, this belief, this unconditional support. Thank you, I whispered, my voice breaking. He hugged me, tight and warm. No. Thank you, for staying, for believing in us, for being strong, for being you. That night, we planned the future together. Discussed the project, shared dreams, talked about life goals. It felt real, permanent, beautiful. And for the first time, I felt like we actually had a future together. Real. Strong. Together. Forever. I was now officially creative director. The project was a massive success, client praise, media coverage, industry recognition. My work proved itself. The gossip completely disappeared. Brent and I were openly together at office events, company dinners, everywhere. Proud, happy, stable. One evening, on the office rooftop where we'd first kissed, Brent took my hand. Leo, this journey wasn't easy. No, it wasn't. I agreed, smiling. But we're here. Together. Stronger. I nodded. He pulled a small box from his pocket. My heart stopped. This is a promise, he said, opening it. A simple silver ring inside. A promise that I'll always be with you, support you, love you. My eyes filled with tears. Leo, will you? Yes, I said immediately. Yes. Always yes. He kissed me under the stars. Under the lights. Pure and real.